Hello everyone, welcome to lecture number 5 of ServiceNow scripting course. So let's get started. Okay, let's go to our scripts background. Okay, yes. So lecture number 5. Previously what we have covered loops, different type of loops, for loops, while loop, do while, and nested loops. We have also covered strings, then operators, and etc. like variables. Okay, so today we will look for functions. What is a function? What is the use of function? How to declare it? How to use it? Use cases. Okay, so first let's understand what is a function. So basically, function, it is a reusable block of code. Okay, basically to perform a specific operation or task single time and use it anywhere. You don't have to write the logic again and again. That's increase the like number of lines. So to avoid that, we use functions. Okay. So the syntax of function is you have to use function keyword, then function name. If there is any parameter, basically optional, and then we have to perform logic, and then we can use it anywhere. So this is the general syntax of a function. Suppose I want to calculate percentage. Calculate percentage. Okay. So to calculate percentage, we have to receive a number. Okay. And we can avoid the declaration. Just put our parameter. Then we have to do the logic work. Okay. Suppose the logic is whatever number we have received first. Suppose we have received 88. Okay. We have received number 88. Now number and total marks. Okay, suppose like total marks and the number the student gets. Okay, suppose the numbers are 410 and total marks 500. So first, what we have to do is we have to calculate the result. So how can we calculate the result is first we have to multiply our number with 100 and then we have to divide it by our total marks. This is the logic, and then we can print calculate result. Okay, and in the function name we have to replace it with the calculate percentage name, the same thing here, and we have to pass number. Suppose number is, we can pass it like, suppose number is 410 and total marks we have 500. Okay, so in the place of number we can number and total marks total. If I run the script, okay, okay, let me refresh the page. Sometimes it is not refreshed. Run the script. Okay, so as you can see, we get 82 as percentage. If we change the marks, suppose I am getting 409. So if I run the script, I will get 81.8. So I can put a percentage sign at the end. If I run the script, it will be 81.8 percentage. Okay, and I can use it multiple times. Suppose if I copy this and paste it. Okay, suppose here and suppose let's comment out this and suppose numbers are 400. Total marks is same. Okay, total marks is 500. Numbers are changing 450, 329. So we just have to write a single line and all the logic is here. So what I've said earlier, it is a reusable block of code. So we can reuse this functionality and basically to perform a specific operation task single time and use it anywhere. And we can use it multiple times and anywhere in the script. Okay. So it is just one use case. We have so many use cases. So basically, this is the example of function with parameter. Okay. Now, same, let me comment out this. We have a same thing, which is function without parameters. So suppose function print a line. Okay. You don't have to pass anything here. You can just write your string. Suppose, so we have seen many functions of the string. So suppose I have this variable str. I'm declaring a string, suppose hello. Like good morning. Okay. And gs.info string, just simply string. And we have to just function, we have to just use print line. Just, we don't have to pass anything because we are passing parameters because we need these parameters to calculate something, to apply some logic. But here we are not applying any logic. We are just printing. Okay, so if I run the script, you can see hello, good morning, and I can use this multiple. I have to just write a line and we can do the logic. So it is very simple and basic log of 1 or 2 line. But suppose we have uh, different logics like which are 50 lines of code. So we don't have to write 50 lines every single time. Okay, we can reuse, we can use this function and reuse the functionality and call the function anywhere and we can perform the operation. Okay, this is the uh, example of parameters without parameters. Now we have functions with return values, a function that is returning something. Okay, so what does that mean? Same, let's take the same example of voting age. Okay, suppose my age is 21 and so let's only declare voting age because it is fixed 80. And suppose nationality is Norway. Anything. You can take any example. Okay. Voting age is 80, nationality is Norway. Now function is eligible. It is taking my age as a parameter and my nationality and performing some logic. Suppose if voting age is greater than 18 and also if nationality is equal to, so suppose my age is greater than voting age, no hard coded values. So we can change here and we don't have to change the function. Okay, so always do avoid to use hard coded values. Suppose I am using 18 here, 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 here. So declare and use the variable name. So you have to change only one time and at every place it gets automatically replaced. Okay. So if the nationality is Norway, print you can vote. Okay. If nationality is not correct, you can put wrong nationality. Okay. Then if voting age is not, so like you can print, then you can print underage, any message. Okay. Underage. Now we have written this function and we have declared voting age and nationality. Now suppose uh, we have two persons. Okay. Suppose we have two persons which are variable Bob age, which is 24, and Bob nationality, which is Norway. Then same, we have rice age, which is 17, and rice nationality, which is suppose Sweden. Now is equal to, because the person who is 18 years old can also vote. Okay, so we have used greater than equal to. Now we just have to call is eligible and we have to pass Bob age and Bob nationality. Same thing, call is eligible and Alice age and Alice nationality. Okay, now if I run this script for Bob case, you can see you can vote, and for Alice case, you can see underage because Alice is 17 years old and Bob has passed all the criteria. So instead of printing this, you can actually return something like return true, return false, return false. So you can return some values. Okay. Now instead of directly calling this, you can use these values. If so, what you can do is is eligible. You can directly copy this, and if it is correct, then you can print a personalized message for Bob. Bob is eligible to vote. If it is equals to true, Bob is eligible to vote, else Same thing. You can do it for allies. If I run the script, you can see Bob is eligible to vote and Alice is not eligible to vote. So this is the use case of function. You are calculating Alice and Bob eligibility by calling the same function, and you are using it by returning a value. So we have three different use cases. First, we can pass a parameter and simply print the information, whatever we want. Without parameter, we are not passing anything, just printing it. And third, we are passing the parameter and returning some values. Based on the values, we are doing further calculations. Okay. And also, if you want to minimize this code also, you can see variable name. Okay. You just have to declare a name. Variable name one is Bob and name two is Alex. So what you can do is, instead of calling this functionality again and again, either you can use a loop and iterate, or you can just simply change this value. Okay, suppose is eligible, it gets equated. So instead of passing age and nationality directly, you can pass the name first, and you can also return the name value. So, like if I have to explain you can also minimize this script. Okay, so this is the task for you to do it in a, if I do control Z, okay, you have to minimize these blocks into one block. Okay, let me explain you what I'm trying to achieve. Okay, so okay, for calculating eligibility, we have a function. It returns true and false based on the results. If it is true, we are printing eligible or not eligible. Okay. Now, what you want to achieve is pass parameters in such a way that you can call single time and it appends the name like accordingly. Suppose so for Bob and Alice, we are using the function to calculate eligibility. That's okay. But now when we are using here is eligible, Bob is eligible to vote, this and this, I want something that replaces these lines of code into a single line, and according to that I can print it. Okay, use whatever you feel like, loop, another function, any approach. Okay, so this is your task. I think in the functions, the task is these printing statements, and comment your approach in comments box. Okay, and then uh, we have also a concept of variable scoping. So variable scoping, suppose I have declared a variable name as ARR or like test value, which is 5. And I have a function which is simple function without any parameters. And in that function also, I have a value known as test value, which is value of 10. Suppose I am printing here the test value. So this is the test value, same name. This is this is global. This is global scope, and it is having local scope. So what is local scope and what is global scope? So because this test value, it is not inside a function, not inside a loop or anything. It is declared globally inside the file. But this test value is inside a function. It is a local scope. So if I run the script, it will, what I am doing wrong. Okay. Oh, yes, because we are not calling this function. Okay. So now you can see 10 because test value is in this scope and we are printing this test value. Suppose we are now, let's for identification put a note which is local scope, and the same thing if I copy it and paste it, global scope. You can see local scope has a value of 10 because it is declared here and it ends here, and global scope can have the scope of this whole file. So it is declared here, used here, and it ends. But this value is present, and so the values get copied here, and we have value of 5. Suppose what happens, let's not declare this. Okay, now run the script. So you can see because this value has a scope of this function only. So it gets printed to local scope equals to 10. But when we are trying to run this value, it is not declared, so it gives an error. Now let's do the same thing. Let's remove this now. If I run the script, you can see now both the values have 5 because we can use the global scope values in the local scope, but we cannot use local scope values in the global one. Okay, so let's understand it more clearly. Okay, scope. So we have global scope and we have function scope. Now, what does function means? Like functions, okay, loops, if else, anything which have this thing, which have these curly brackets. So if else having these curly braces, functions have these curly braces, loops having these curly braces. So curly braces defines the scope. Curly braces defines local scope. Now, there are some points. So the point is we can we can use global scope values in local scope, but vice versa, not possible. Okay. So if you declare something in global scope, you can use that value in function scope. But if you declare something in function scope, you cannot use it in global scope. So that's the same thing we have done. We have declared this value 5 and we are using this value in the local scope. So it is printing as 5. But if I do the reverse, suppose if I comment out this and used the local scope value outside the function, it will throw me an error. Okay. So I hope you guys understand this topic, and if you not, please comment and I will try to explain you. Okay. Yep. Now we have a thing called IIFE, which is basically known as immediately invoked function expression. IIFE. Okay. So what does that mean? Suppose let's declare a function. Function calculate. Suppose calculate basically simply age or anything. Like suppose calculate hours, number of hours. Okay. So we have, let's calculate something which don't require a parameter. So I can explain you better. So print hello. Okay. So gs.info and now for this function to get executed, we have to write this, declaration. If I run the script, it is hello world. Suppose I don't want to write this. Okay, I don't want to write this. I just only want to immediately invoke this. So for immediately invoked, what we can do is we can simply write and wrap this function in a scope like this. So if I run this script, you can see hello world. You don't have to now declare this. You just use this function anywhere, paste it, and you can invoke without like need to like call it separately. Okay. So here you have to call it separately, like you have written this print line and then you are calling it print line. Suppose you want to immediately like invoke it. So just you can wrap this function. So the normal declaration is like this. But first you have to wrap this here, and you here. Just this syntax. And you can call it immediately. Okay. So yes, I think that's it for today. These are the functions. Like, please go through this like very thoroughly because it is important. Functions are very important. Function loops are very important topics because based on these concepts, like whole scripting is built. You will use loops and functions everywhere, basically in every script. Okay, so go through this lecture with parameters, without parameters, and variable scoping. That is very important because if you don't understand this, you will have many errors because suppose you're declaring some value here, not using here, etc. etc. And this is an advanced concept to immediately invoke a function expression. Okay, so yes, that's it for today. Bye bye, guys.